I would like to say good morning to everyone and welcome to the webinar. It's a 1-hour IFM credited course put on by Cesar Serrano. It's entitled Hidden Treasure, Operation Cost Reduction. So I am Peggy West. I'm the organizer of the webinar, and I want to say thank you to all the guests that are here today that are attending. My hat goes off especially to the board members who are taking the time, your personal time, to stay educated for your communities. I know it's a thankless job sometimes. And I know that this means you're investing yourselves in your communities. And I really put my hat off to you. I also want to thank the CAMs who are continuing to keep up their licenses for all of your communities. Very important. So thank you for that. So you're trying to be the best you can be. And then lastly, I want to thank my sponsors today who are invited you, all their hard work to get this many people on this webinar. We have approximately 300 registered, so let's get started. I'm going to introduce the sponsors one by one, and they'll tell you a little bit about themselves, starting with Vinteum Software. First, I'd like to say thank you to Yasmin. Her manager has been on vacation, and she has totally coordinated all of this. And if she doesn't hear me, maybe she'll hear it on the webinar. But she did an awesome job as usual that Vinteum does. I want to introduce Layla Scola, who is the marketing director for Vinteum. Layla, tell us about Vinteum and yourself.
Thank you. My name's Layla. I've been with Vinteum Software for about 4 years now. And Vinteum is a software company. We've been around since 2016. We provide secure, easy-to-use websites and portals for HOAs and condos to improve their management and communication.
Awesome. And the wind beneath our wings here, a co-organizer actually. Next, I want to introduce our moderator, Rudy Martin. He is the Director of Strategic Business Development at M2E Engineering. Rudy, tell us about M2E and yourself, please.
Peggy, thank you. So M2E is a consulting engineering firm and owner's representation. All of your needs as far as 558 turnover documents, the new milestone inspections, the reserve studies, concrete restorations, just any invasive leaks that pop up, please reach out to me. We are here to help. We have 4 offices all through the state of Florida, and we have over 80 engineers on staff, so we're able to get to you quickly. I will be moderating this class. A few housekeeping items. You have a Q&A button at the bottom. If you have a question, go ahead and ask it. And this time we're going to wait to the end to answer your questions so Cesar can get a nice flow and a nice cadence and get through his presentation. So if you have a question, ask. We'll get to it at the end. This is being recorded. The slides will be available. So give us a few days to put that together. We'll reach out to you in a follow-up email. Also, this is a CEU class. Give it a few weeks for that to post. There is a process involved. It's a daunting process. So thank you for your patience in advance. And then I'll turn it back over to Peggy. I'm here to help. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rudy. Next, I'd like to introduce Ricardo Moncado. He's the chief consultant and the principal for RMS Roof Consultants. Ricardo, tell us about yourself and RMS, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Ricardo Moncada, and I'm with RMS Building Envelope Consultants. We protect the building owner's best interest when it comes to roofing and waterproofing. We are not contractors. We are consultants, and we sit on the building owner side of the table to help them navigate the renovation projects of the exterior of their building. Anything that has to do with roofing and waterproofing, we take care of the entire process from the assessment to the implementation, spec writing, bid process, contractor selection, quality assurance, and closeout. So if you're thinking about doing any renovation project, they're complex. Don't do it by yourself. Give us a call. We'll be more than glad to go and visit you at no cost. We'll take a look at your building and give you a free consultation. And if something comes up from that, we'll take it from there. But don't be shy. Give us a call. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. And don't forget, they also do annual roof inspections. Okay, with that, I want to move on to Bill Kilgallen. He's a tax specialist at Hafer Company. Bill, tell us about yourself and Hafer.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the presentation. I'm Bill Kilgallen with Hafer CPAs. Our firm serves over 750 associations. We provide audit, tax, and consulting services. On the audit side, we have 3 levels of audit services, compilations being the lowest, reviews, and then full-blown audits. It's the beginning of budget season. Inflation is running rampant. We can help you understand the new rules regarding the building inspections and the reserve fundings. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Please see our contact information in the chat area. Have a great class, everyone.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you filling in here today for Nicole also. Next, we have Jimmy Gonzalez from LM Funding. Jimmy, tell us about yourself, please, and LM Funding.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being with us. This obviously is a very, very important subject matter, especially this year with all the higher insurance costs and premiums going on. LM Funding has helped thousands of associations. We have helped them with over 14,000 collection events. We're a financial tech company. We're publicly traded on the NASDAQ. And rather than charging for our time like collection attorneys do, we aggressively manage the collection process for you using only collection attorneys. We collect for you. You receive all of your budgeted delinquent assessments, any special assessments, fines, fees, things of that nature. LM Funding retains the late fees and interest, and life goes on. We manage the entire process for you, so you don't have to, using professionals, using only attorneys. Thank you, and hopefully we can discuss this further at a later date. Have a great day and a nice class.
Thanks, Jimmy. Next, we have a new face here representing Munyon Painting. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Miranda. I'm filling in for Chris. We are a 71-year-old family-owned and full operated company. We go across the entire state of Florida, fully insured all the way up to $10 million. We do everything from painting, roofing, and restoration. Our roofing is repair and replacement. We expert in electrostatic painting and also waterproofing and liquid coated.
Okay, thank you and welcome, Miranda. Please send me your contact information. Next, I want to introduce a longtime friend of mine, Dawn Miller. She's the Director of Business Development for the Paving Lady. Dawn, tell us about yourself. And she is, by the way, kudos. She's the Woman of the Year for CAI. Dawn, tell us about yourself and Paving Lady.
Thank you so much, Peggy, and thank you all for being here. I'm Dawn with the Paving Lady. We are a full-service asphalt contractor. We do asphalt maintenance, seal coating, pothole repairs, asphalt overlays. We also do concrete repairs to your sidewalks and curbs. If you think your parking lots or roadways have an issue, it's your own asphalt. So put your information in the box and enjoy the class, and I'll give you a call. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Next, let's move along to a new sponsor for me, Lilia Ziano. She's the Vice President at Bank United. Tell us what you do for community associations.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's the first time, and hopefully I'm going to be more often. So we're community bank, Bank United, and we trying to be in the community helping HOA associations with financing. Like the Paving Lady said, she will do that, but we'll finance it. People saying they will fix it, we finance it. So pretty much. And yesterday we were at the event, new project for us. We might be gold small fish, but we're swimming in the pond as a big ones. So we're trying to help the local HOA associations to put in place financials with the financing, with the treasury management to minimize your cost on the treasury management fees, as well as if you have a reserve, we're offering today 1.5% on money market account, so you can invest it. So I'm here. I'm gonna share the contact information on the chat group. Please reach out.
Thank you so much. Okay, welcome again. Lastly, we have a sponsor that could not attend From Campbell Property Management, Beth Rappaport, she's the Vice President of Business Development. Just to mention that Campbell is one of the largest regional companies doing property management in South Florida. You can reach out to her to get a proposal, but they do manage over about 500 communities. And following this presentation, along with the slides and the video, I will be sending a sponsor sheet, which is going to have all of our sponsors from today, very reputable, that you can patronize. It'll have their name, their email address, and I encourage you to take a look at them while you're doing your budgeting. Let's start the presentation. I just want to say most of us have a habit of buying those hopeful lotto tickets, especially when the stakes are pretty high and our chances of winning are 1 to 1,000,000 or greater, right? So let's see what Cesar has to advise us on as we can win with our money with sure-footed advice. It's a pleasure for me to introduce Cesar Serrano of Schooley Mitchell. Cesar, take it away.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Peggy, for organizing this webinar, as well as all the sponsors for their support. I am Cesar Serrano. The topic information and provider number are shown on the slide. Our topic today is hidden treasure, operational cost reduction. I am Cesar Serrano, Chief Consultant with Opportunus Group, as well as strategic partner of Schooley Mitchell of South Florida. My prior experience includes VP and GM positions with Johnson Controls, transforming global support organizations and businesses across Latin America and in other emerging and developed markets. During my tenure, I redesigned, aligned, and led HVAC and BAS equipment and original parts, sales, business development, marketing, channel management, training centers, and technical support organizations. My lovely wife, Rosie, our 3 boys, and I have been living in South Florida for the last 17 years, where I have been a volunteer of Hands of Miami, Feeding South Florida, and Broward County Animal Care. We currently support Handy. I am an avid runner, wine enthusiast, and enjoy nature. Overall, I have 30 years of experience in building materials, strategy, sales, and operations. Next. The objectives of this presentation include understanding the impact of controlling the costs in the cost of maintenance fees in community associations, how cost will impact gross margins as well as profits on businesses. What are the categories depending on the type of entity? Those entities can be organized in businesses, facility management entities, and nonprofits. We will also look into how to optimize the cost while maintaining an acceptable level of service. The financial impact of optimizing the operational cost, best business practices, and how entities can keep more money in their pockets while optimizing operational cost. So how are we going to deliver on these objectives? The presentation is organized around 5 parts. First, the why, the problem you need to solve. What is the challenge facility management entities in general and are facing as well as businesses and nonprofits? Second, the where. Where can a consultant add value? What are the categories of costs that need to be taken care of? The third are the segments. What are the segments of the economy where these type of services, which is the services that cost reduction consulting provides, have impact and have a positive impact? The fourth, a financial simulation of the impact. The fifth, how. The how the impact is delivered and what should be behind the expertise that any cost reduction consultant is offering. Next. The ultimate goal of every entity is either to reduce maintenance fees or improve profits while maintaining an acceptable level of service. In other words, you keep providing a good quality service while reducing the cost of execution. That's basically the focus. Next. Community associations, businesses, nonprofits, they usually pay more for services. Most of them have errors in billing and do not have the resources to track or claim refunds. The reason is that there is no marketplace. Entities do not have the access to the information they need to make decisions when it comes to deciding which vendor to use. You need an expert in those segments to do that, to compare service level and price structure of those services to be able to make the right choice. Let me give you an example. You want to buy a house. You talk to a real estate agent. You tell them, I want to buy a house in this location, this big, this many bedrooms. The real estate agent logs into the MLS listing, looks at the latest closings, looks at the value of those closings. The MLS listing is the marketplace, is a platform that has a critical mass of data, of information, and can provide a very accurate reference as to where the market price is, right? The real estate agent comes back to you and say, hey, this is the value. This is what a house where you want it and that big with those characteristics will cost. That is the market value. So a platform like that doesn't exist for business. There's no such a thing. Having access to experts with the level of experience and access to a national benchmark, which is a proprietary marketplace, will allow you to save money and improve your cash flow. Next. Industries that deliver those services are going through tremendous changes due to innovation, consolidation, and changes in legislation. All of those changes are reflected in more complex cost structures that oftentimes community association managers, property managers, owners, or decision makers do not fully understand. In turn, those changes become challenges for any type of entity and prevent them from being fully optimized. Next. These are the 8 categories that we need to consider. From top left to right and top to bottom, we will find utilities, telecommunications, merchant services, waste disposal, e-signature services, fuel, small package shipments, and fleet management. We will provide context in terms of the scope of each category and the way those industries or segments operate, which is the second portion of what I mentioned. This is the second part as to how we're going to deliver on the original objectives. Next. An audit to your landline, long distance, toll-free, internet, and wireless services can identify cost savings, increase efficiency, and recover billing errors. An audit can also provide you with a full inventory of your telecom equipment and services. You can do that periodically to ensure that you are fully optimized. You can also hire an expert to provide risk-free recommendations to ensure you are receiving the best services at the best price. Those experts monitor continuously your equipment, which allows you to focus on your core business and the things that create your success. As an operating entity, you need to manage its information. That information should be secure, and you might have your server on site to do that. Guess what? The server industry is moving to cloud-based solutions. The advantage of doing that is reflected in several different ways. Accessibility from anywhere in the world, on any device with internet connection. no upfront installation costs, is predictable, with regular payments to cover software licensing, support, daily backups, and any potential upgrades you may choose. All the maintenance is taken care of by the cloud service provider, so you do not need to worry about it. Highly secure and can be deployed quickly over the internet in a matter of hours or days. Due to the flexibility of cloud solutions, they can easily scale to meet changing needs of your association or business. For example, a period of growth in employees. You will also save on your utility bills by not having to power any hardware on site. In addition to have the right set of equipment and technology, you also have to design a disaster recovery plan. So what is a disaster recovery plan? It's a way to be proactive about the things that could go wrong by describing the process, policies, and procedures for responding to those type of situations. This could be anything from a storm that causes a power outage to a large-scale cyber event, a hurricane. These plans lay out the necessary steps to recover or continue your IT infrastructure and should include hardware and software safeguards. Adding complexity to this topic, after COVID, flexibility in the workplace is becoming a new normal. If your employees are working from home, either temporarily, in a hybrid capacity, or full-time, chances are you do not control their internet provider or their network speed and quality. Like anyone else, your employees are going to experience outages. How you handle these difficulties can be seen as a sign of the strength of your business's leadership. There are 3 actions you can take to improve your employees' experience working from home. Number 1, subsidize better equipment and cellular plans. 2, create an IT help process. And 3, offer the office as an alternative space. Next. Businesses and any type of entity are racking up debt, and supply chain issues are creating material expenses. Cutting costs is more important than ever. With many businesses offering online shopping as an alternative to in-store, you might find your payment processing environment has changed or become more expensive. If this sounds like a challenge that you're going through as an organization, I have 5 tips for reducing your credit card processing fees and making the most of your revenue. Keep an eye on your rates. Complete monthly audits of your merchant services statements to check for billing errors and avoid rate creep. Processors usually offer seemingly standard contracts, but contain provisions that allow them to increase your rates. Second one, swipe cards and answer questions. Credit card fees are primarily based on risk. This means you're better off swiping or inserting a card than entering the number manually. Whenever a number is entered by hand, your processor considers it a higher risk transaction and may charge a higher fee. However, not all organizations have the resources to physically swipe or insert a card. If you're inputting the card number manually, answer as many of the processor's questions as possible. Providing information such as the consumer's zip code, debit versus credit, and the 3 or 4-digit code on the back of the card are all designed to lower the risk of fraud. By entering as much information as possible and lowering the risk, you'll see reduced transaction fees. Number 3, use an address verification service. An address verification service is a solution that verifies the cardholder's billing address with the card issuer. It takes your payment services a step further in preventing fraud and has been a big benefit in the world of e-commerce, including limiting chargebacks. Make sure PCI compliance is up to date. That's number 4. A vendor will incur monthly fees from the payment card industry, PCI, if its compliance questionnaire is not completed annually. These fees will continue to build up indefinitely until compliance forms are completed. By completing the questionnaire, you assure your credit card processor that you are taking the proper steps to keep customer information safe and minimize the risk of fraud. The last but not least, hire a professional. An independent merchant services consultant will find you the lowest rates possible in your area and can also track your rates going forward to make sure you're never paying more than you should. When you hire a consultant, make sure they are not brokers or agents and that they are vendor agnostic, meaning that they are on your side, making sure that the solution you use delivers the lowest cost and meets the technological needs of your association or business, as well as complies with any standard in place. In conclusion, now is not the time for your association or business to be spending more than it needs on credit card processing fees. In reducing costs and growing your bottom line, I hope these tips will be obeyed to any of you. You need to protect your business from common types of e-commerce fraud. Incorporating a solution that meets your security and technological needs is important. Next. Small package shipping and courier costs are steadily on the rise. And invoices for shipping services can be hundreds of pages long. You need to find experts that provide practical solutions to reduce shipping costs through billing error recovery, service guarantees, optimized pricing, and cost-effective shipping practices. Whether you use standard shipping, overnight small package shipping in Canada and the US, or any other courier service, those consultants can help you reduce your costs. They make sure you are paying optimum prices for the way you ship. They also make sure items do not appear on your bill that should not be there. Keep in mind that your reputation is on the line. A 2020 survey from industry experts found that 47% of respondents said they're unlikely to shop with a retailer again after a bad shipping experience. Finding the right partner to ship your products is key to the success of your business. Next. Why is waste so expensive? Depending on what industry you work in, your waste removal expenses are potentially a significant burden to your bottom line. Sure, you can reduce waste, but compromising the quality of this service isn't really an option. Finding savings is possible, but first you must understand what goes into the cost. It may be hard to imagine the price breakdown of waste removal when most of the process happens away from your facility. Your bill is most likely composed of 4 main cost types: container cost, collection cost, transfer cost, and landfill cost. Understanding your options among these 4 categories can go a long way in helping you reduce your bill. Even when you've accounted for the 4 main cost categories of your waste removal bill, you may notice that there are some extra unexpected charges on your bill. Keep these fees in mind when budgeting. You can also ask the question, can recycling save your associations or business money? The best way to reduce waste disposal expenses is to simply reduce waste. For many associations of business or businesses, reducing paper and purchasing reusable materials can eliminate a significant source of waste, regardless of whether the waste is being recycled or headed to a landfill. In areas where you cannot eliminate waste, commercial recycling is a viable alternative. Recycling reduces transfer and landfill costs associated with waste removal. Separating the relevant materials into recycling bins also reduces the frequency of garbage collections. In addition to that, recyclables can be sold. Contractors, construction companies, manufacturers, and other associations or businesses that generate recyclables like scrap metal can sell these materials and earn some of the money that would have otherwise gone to waste generation. If your workplace generates a substantial amount of organic waste, it may also be worth looking into commercial or industrial composting solutions. Commercial or industrial composters often collect compostable materials directly from your business and then use the latest technologies to put these to good use. In conclusion, don't let waste expenses eat into your profits or impact your maintenance fees. While waste costs can be overwhelming, there are ways to reduce and manage the impact they have on your bottom line. If you think you're spending more than you need to, contact an expert who will help you optimize your waste disposal process and bill. Next. Today, the world is coming out of a pandemic that has necessitated doing our very best to avoid physical contact with one another. And by extension, things others have touched. Electronic signatures continue surging in popularity with newer, faster, and more secure programs hitting the market every day. While laws are different everywhere, general legal requirements for a signature are met by an electronic signature if it adequately identifies the signatory, adequately indicates that the signatory's approval or acceptance of the information, is as reliable as is appropriate under the circumstances of the signing. Electronic signature programs have several requirements to be considered reliable, but there are two main ones. The first is that the means of creating the signature is linked to the person signing the document alone. And secondly, if any changes to the signature or documents are detectable digitally through the verification of data integrity. While it's clear that signatures have come a long way from the markings of authentication by merchants in the old days, they still have the same end goal, intent to hold up your end of a bargain, and verification that your word is the truth. Next. Fuel. A fleet card or fuel card is a type of payment card that allows for easy management of expenses associated with company-owned vehicles. Unlike a corporate credit card, which can be used for a broad set of authorized purchases, fleet cards are designed to be used specifically for expenses related to managing vehicles. Associations and businesses such as trucking companies, ride-sharing services, or delivery providers will often use individual fleet cards to employees who use and operate corporate vehicles to cover fuel, vehicle repairs, and maintenance expenses. This is an exciting time for the fleet card industry. Associations and businesses are looking to improve the management of fuel bills, and fuel cards are a useful tool regardless of the size of your business. From a sole operator with one delivery truck, an owner of a mid-sized fleet, or a large national trucking company, fleet cards can help your organization in many ways. This can be by providing accurate records and flexible reporting, spending history and budget control, driver convenience, and reduce fuel expenses. Now, gas stations owners hardly see that money. The increase in gas prices and consumption has not meant that station owners see an increased profit. In fact, many of them lose money on their gas overall. With small margins and intense competition, many gas stations rely on secondary revenue streams to stay afloat. Many gas stations are operated by franchisees or individual operators, 57% of whom only own a single station, meaning for most gas station owners, their income is reliant on the success of an individual location. And with gas stations averaging a 1.4% net margin on their fuel, far lower than the average cost of all industries of 7.7%, that success can be difficult to generate. So what can gas stations owners do? And this is for any organization. This is an illustrative example of how challenges in margins for several different organizations, as well as associations, can be overcome. While gas stations play in an incredibly competitive, challenging industry, can make very hard to become profitable. There are ways to reduce costs without losing staff. If the 7% that revenue station owners make of gas also goes toward expenses like car processing, utilities, and other operating costs, then lowering those costs is a way to increase profits. Working with a cost reduction consultant to manage these expenses can also help you do just that. Fuel is a top variable of any fleet, often equating to more than 75% of a fleet's variable expenses. A fleet of 500 vehicles, each driving 24,000 miles per year, accumulates 12 million total miles annually. With numbers this large, even a small change can mean big savings. In fact, if they could reduce their bills by a mere quarter of a cent per mile, this fleet would save $30,000 per year. Due to the volatile nature of fuel prices, getting your costs as low as they can and keeping them there is very important for any trucking company. Next. Ensure your tracking costs are as lean as possible so you can focus on managing your fleet. Thousands of businesses rely on fleet tracking software and electronic logging devices to keep their operations running smoothly. But it is more than that. Government regulations require some companies to utilize electronic logging devices, ELD, to log duty status. The cost of these technologies can really add up. Experts in ELD and fleet tracking can examine your entire system to recommend the configuration that is right for your business, satisfying both government regulations and your specific needs. So, next. What is the difference between energy distributors and suppliers? Maneuvering your way through the different utilities terms and options can be confusing. From picking a supplier to monitoring your monthly bill, to knowing what to do or where to turn when your power goes out, there are plenty of opportunities to get lost. Energy distributors are responsible for getting electricity from the supplier to your home or business. They own and operate the power lines, substations, and cables that transfer energy. For this reason, consumers do not have much to say over who their distributor is. Instead, your distributor is decided by who owns the power lines in your area. Suppliers, on the other hand, suppliers provide the energy to the distributor and send you your monthly utility bill. While consumers do not choose their distributor, in certain situations, they do get to pick their supplier. In the regulated states, suppliers set the price of energy. Therefore, consumers have some control over the rate they pay. Home and business owners can shop around and compare different suppliers to determine which price works best for them. Now, in addition to that, there's changes in technology that also impact utilities. Reliability is an essential component of good utility services. Homeowners and business owners, as well as associations alike, need to be assured they won't lose power unexpectedly and know that it will be up and running as soon as possible if they do lose power from tsunamis, forest fires, ice storms, hurricanes. Extreme weather has proved to be the #1 opponent of utility reliability. And it has only become a bigger threat each year since the early 2000s. New technological developments have played a crucial role in helping utility providers reestablish control over external threats and reestablish reliability. Next. Many believe the cost of utilities to be fixed with no room for savings. This is not always the case. Most businesses are not sure whether they are paying too much for utilities, such as electricity and natural gas. Many have never given a second thought, mistakenly believing there is no opportunity to obtain better pricing for their services. In reality, there are opportunities to optimize pricing structures and recover billing errors. However, commodity markets can be complex and confusing, making it difficult for many to navigate. Next. The way utilities are managed changes from state to state. Not all states regulate utilities. Based on the size of economic activity and the current utility legislation by state, the biggest opportunities to optimize costs in this category are located in the Northeast and Southeast of the country, as well as Oregon, California, and Texas. The current slide shows the categories regulated by state. Okay, then next. There you go. Now that we completed the categories, we will review the different type of entities and how each of those categories fit into each of those segments. Next. We will analyze 9 segments or vertical markets and the cost categories that can be optimized based on their profile, revenue streams, and the way they do business. In all cases, we will focus on those cost categories that will deliver the biggest impact. Next. There you go. What you will see within the red square on the left-hand side is basically the type of business. In this case, we're looking at a residential contractor and the key categories that will impact that business the most. In the case of a residential contractor, we're looking at telecommunications. Telecommunications not only on their branch, on their headquarters, but also telecommunications with the vehicles and telecommunications with job sites that they may be working, job sites in locations that they may have work to do. So that is basically telecommunication. Will enable all the interaction between the organization and within the organization, and between clients, customers, stakeholders, and the organization. We also have merchant services. Residential contractors, everything that they basically, or most of what they sell is paid with credit cards, which is the way clients pay for their jobs. And this could become a significant cost, waste, construction waste. And since these type of entities, businesses, also have a fleet of vehicles, they will require to manage that fleet and to also look into their fuel costs to be able to optimize their overall operating cost. Now, when we're looking at commercial contractors, usually commercial contractors, the difference will be only on merchant services because they usually get paid through check or transfers, which doesn't basically incorporate the cost per transaction that you will get through a merchant services. Next. There you go. Facility management. This basically is something pretty much the same as community association managers. These are the categories that you as a community association manager, facility manager, property manager are dealing with for the most part. Now, this can change depending on the way the association is structured. How do you consolidate the fees into your maintenance fees? What are the fees and categories of costs that are consolidated? And what are the ones that each of the users pay by themselves? So those are the things that may change what you're seeing right here. But for the most part, we're looking at telecommunication, waste disposal, and utilities. Those are the three key categories that we may need to address with any community association, facility, or property manager. Next. Repair shops. Well, in the case of repair shops, we will also be looking at telecommunication for the most part, and small package shipments as well as waste. The waste is obviously in the form of, in many cases, of oil, grease, resulting from the repairs and the work that they do on their shop. I included small package shipments. And the reason that I included small package shipments is that I found that in South Florida, many repair shops, they also sell spare parts. And in some cases, they even export spare parts. So by talking to several of them, we realized that a big chunk of the expense of the cost of the operating cost is coming from small package shipments. Next. Healthcare providers. We're looking at almost every single category. We're looking at telecommunication, which is very important due to the nature of the services that healthcare providers offer. Merchant services, most of their clients or individuals that require their services do the co-pays or the deductibles with credit card. Medical waste, which is very important as well. That type of waste has some specific requirements to be managed. They have a fleet of vehicles nowadays. Healthcare providers also have a fleet of vehicles, not only emergency vehicles, but also a fleet of vehicles that they use to bring in people of 65 plus years old to take therapy and different services at their sites. So they have a fleet of equipment, and obviously they need fuel, e-signature services, and utilities. Utilities in every form, because of the nature of the services that healthcare providers have. They could be looking at natural gas as well, and not only electricity, and they will be looking at, in case of fuels, perhaps for some equipment, supporting the services that they provide, even propane. So those are the categories that usually a healthcare provider will require, meaning a hospital or a clinic. Next.
Excuse me, can I interject? I'm going to give you a little 10-minute warning. Can you quickly move to what applies to associations?
I already went through that. I already went through on facility management. I went through the associations, yes.
Okay.
Next, we're almost done. I'm going to go really quick on the other ones. Manufacturing facility, basically, again, telecommunications, small package shipments for the delivering their products and waste. That in some cases can be scrap metal, you can sell it, right? As an example. Next. Restaurant and hotels, and these are the services needed for them to provide their services on site. Next. Basically, e-commerce wholesalers, the biggest chunk of their cost perhaps will be on merchant services and small package shipments. Next. Very similar to what I mentioned above in facility management, when I mentioned community association managers, property managers, and facility managers, higher education institutions usually are the categories that they manage are similar to community association managers or facility managers. The difference is that they usually have basically, those are bigger facilities and require also a fleet of vehicles, right? So in those cases, that will be one of the key differences.
I thought it would be something new to hear about cost saving tips. And he has this approved with the DBPRs.
Excuse me? I'm hearing you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyway, so when you look at this profile, you're looking at the traditional community association managers categories, community association, plus a fleet of equipment, a fleet of vehicles that will serve all of those facilities. And this is due to the size. So in cases where you have a community association that is big enough, right? You may need a fleet of vehicles as well. And you will need to also look into the costs of managing that fleet and the fuel that will be also a significant part of the cost. Next. And professional services. In this case, we're looking at a law firm, and obviously telecommunication and e-signature services are a key cost of that type of organization. And we're assuming that they're located in a building where the building, the building owner, management association, or the property manager is already taking care of other expenses like utilities, right, and waste disposal. And that is probably, for the purpose of this professional services entity, that is already taking care on the lease or on any type of maintenance fees. Next. The financial impact. one more. Okay, so this is on the purpose of this is to provide an illustration of how all those costs that are consolidated at the SG&A, what we call on an income statement, at the SG&A level of an income statement, basically impact the bottom line. Anything that is tied up to expenses or costs, right, operating costs and so on, is at the level of what we see there as selling, general, and administrative expense. Now, in this case, the next one, I'm going to illustrate how that will work on a community association. This one is for the construction segment. Keep in mind that within the construction segment, there are several different profiles of businesses. This example is based on a specialized trade contractor focused on the residential segment. Commercial contractors usually do not have significant merchant services, and general contractors have an operational structure that focuses on coordinating the activities of those specialized trade contractors. Examples of those contractors are electrical contractors, HVAC or air conditioning contractors, plumbing companies, and any other contractor focused on delivering services on a specific discipline. The only way to have an accurate estimation of those savings is by completing an audit. So basically what we're saying is, let's say for instance, we're looking here at savings on telecommunications, fleet management, merchant services, waste disposal, and fuel. These savings will depend on how optimized your association or business is. This is only an indication of the impact that you may have. It's an estimation, right? And this could change based on the location of the business, the structure of the business, how big the business is, and what is the mix of clients that they have, and so and how the business operates, right? So this is only an indication. So the index rate is 100 at sales, right? It's an index, right? This example, basically the cost of sales is 72, which means that the balance is a margin, right? That the business is making. So then all the expenses, the operational expenses, selling, general, administrative expenses, and so on, the operating profit, and what is the estimated impact, positive impact that the costing reduction will have. And right here, we're basically showing a 7%. 7% that is going into your pocket without changing anything else, right? Next. This is a wholesale distributor. When you look into this income statement, and when you try to translate the income statement into a community association manager, community association, what you will be looking is at expenses, reserves, and the revenue is the fees that you charge, basically the fees that are paid by your tenants, or owners, right? So basically, you're not seeing margin when you look into a community association income statement. You still have what is in the middle, selling, general, administrative expenses in other forms, right? Could be different categories to the ones that a business can have. But again, there's an impact by reducing the cost, and the impact is not going to be reflected in a way as an improvement in the operating statement in the operating income, but rather it's going to be reflected in lower fees, right? So this is another example.
We're just about out of time. Is there anything that you'd like to sum this up with for associations?
Yes, let me just, I'm done. There's 2 or 3 slides left only. Next. So hiring a consultant will provide the assurance that you will not spend a dime more, and that the company performing the cost reduction assessment is paid based on performance. This allows you to avoid any risk, making sure that they have the level of expertise to deliver value. This also allows the owner or decision makers to focus on the activities that will allow you to grow your business or improve the performance of your community. Next. We usually feel that we negotiated a good deal and we only know what our organization pays. Having access to a critical mass of data allows you to benchmark and negotiate. That will result in better decisions for your organization. Having the right experts on your side will also keep those costs in control. Next. A consultant will have access to a set of tools, market information, and technologies that will allow you to optimize your operational cost. Next. There are 4 ways to reduce the cost. Looking at the overall fee, looking at the program you're in and shade those things that you do not need, looking at the level of utilization, and looking at your bills and statements to reduce, basically to identify errors and request refunds. An important factor to stay in business is to reach a healthy profit level. And in the case of associations, this will allow them to have access to the right set of resources. Controlling the cost even during these challenging times with increasing inflation becomes an area of focus for any community association, business, or nonprofit. Hiring the right consultant is tying up these consultant fees to their performance and will allow you to keep your costs in check over time. This will also provide the assurance that the consultant is on your side by looking at your interests. Next. Basically, these are the final thoughts, and when looking at every entity, you gotta be looking at the way that entity is operating to identify those costs and then incorporate the appropriate actions. Thank you, everyone. Now I'll turn it over to our moderator, Rudy.
Thank you, everybody. We answered some of the questions in the chat. They were fairly easy to answer, kind of about the slides and about the videos. Slides will be available. Videos will be available. We will have more classes coming up. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. I think Cesar did an amazing job of explaining. I don't think we're going to have as many questions as we did. We're getting good feedback in the chat now. Thank you, Peggy, for setting up the class. Thank you for the presentation. So we'll give it a few more seconds. It doesn't look like we have any questions that haven't already been answered. It looks like a lot of thank you. So Cesar, great job. Everyone, thank you for joining us. I believe we have another one next Wednesday, Peggy.
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks.
Sorry, I put it on mute. We have August 31st. We have Ricardo Mercado returning for his hurricane preparedness class on Do You Have Your A-Team Together? So mark your calendars.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. Peggy, I'll let you close us out.
Okay. I also have some other new classes coming ahead, just to mention. In September, I also have Jeff Rembaum coming in. He's going to speak on the building updates and not really a legal update, but just the updates on what's going on in the industry. I also have a potential class coming up. If anybody's interested in Bitcoin fraud or anything to do with that, I have a speaker coming in for that towards the end of the year. And then in October, I also have the legal update and then also a board certification in November. So just watch for your flyers, and thank you everyone. And thanks again to Vinteum and all the sponsors, and Rudy especially, thank you.